I want to talk about the 2013 Evil Dead remake, just titled Evil Dead. My expectations for this movie were high. I had heard from far and wide on many different social media platforms that this movie rocked, that it was a gore fest, and I also knew it was the most use of blood in a movie maybe ever. I don't know if it's number one, but it was it was on the list of most fake blood used in a movie. 70,000 gallons, that's what it was reported as. 70,000 gallons, that's crazy. So I thought it would be fun, a fun blood-filled time. But it wasn't. For me, anyway, it was not. I think what makes the original Evil Dead so great, for me anyway, is that it knows exactly what it is. It's a low-budget horror slasher. And it made the most out of what it could, being just that. The plot is there, but it's simple. It's interesting and it's held together, but it's not complicated. Because it's not the main focus. The main focus is the gore, the slasher, the ridiculousness that is camp horror. That's what the main focus was, because the budget wasn't that high. The Evil Dead 1, 2, and 3, Army of Darkness, if you want to actually get technical, are all blood-filled. They're all horror movies, you know, they fit the genre, but they're campy, they're fun, that's the point. That's what they're known for. Camp is something crucial in the Evil Dead franchise. It's what they are. And that's exactly what the 2013 remake needed. That's what it lacked. It needed to be fun. It took the Evil Dead, made the plot worse, and took the fun out of it. It's basically taking the heart out of the entire franchise, out of the entire story, out of everything the Evil Dead was and is. They made it bland, basically. Bland and like every other demon possession story out there. It seemed to me more like an Exorcist film than it did an Evil Dead movie. They tried to make the story from the first movie deeper. They tried to expand on it more, but they failed to do that. They just made it more complicated when it just can't be, because the story was just that a group of friends go to a cabin to stay there for a couple days, and one of them reads a book. That's basically the whole story. You can't really make that more complicated. If you maybe they wanted to just keep the story how Sam Raimi wanted it, but they wanted to make it more, I don't know, like the word I've been using, deeper. They wanted to make it more serious, but you just can't. Like, you can't, even adding a heroin addict into the mix, it just doesn't work. It's marketed as an insane gore fest, but while also trying to be serious. These dramatic stories about brother and sister bonds and drug addiction, it's hard to balance those two things. And I think this is an example of it done wrong. It's just trying to make The Evil Dead a serious movie just fails. Even like just saying that out loud just sounds wrong. The whole point of the first three movies was that it's goofy, it's silly, it's dumb. But it's enjoyable to watch. It's funny, you know? And then there's parts where it's blood-filled, but it's still fun to watch. That's the point of the movie. Trying to make it a drama while also trying to make it a gore fest, it's hard to do. And it doesn't fit the franchise. And the actors being so terrible does not help. I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more if the actors could act. Another problem with it, and that I had with it, and you know, this is a thing that bothers me with a lot of modern horror movies. Why was everything so dark? You know, you can make a dark drama, like the storyline is dark and the genre is dark, but it doesn't mean everything else has to be dark. It doesn't mean the lighting has to be dark, because I couldn't see anything. It was all like gray and black. Like, I know it's some abandoned cabin and there's probably not going to be much lighting, but it's just annoying. It doesn't like create some vibe or anything that's like, oh, this movie is dark because it's a horror movie, so we should just turn all the lights off. Like, that just I hate that. I want to say trend. I hate that trend in modern horror movies. A movie can be grimy and have cool gore without being improperly lit, you know? It's possible, I swear. People love this movie because of the gore, because it's bloody, right? And that's why I thought I'd like it. But I couldn't ignore how annoyed I was with the plot and just focus on the gore. Because they wanted us to focus on the plot. They wanted that to be part of the main focus. And like I've been saying, that contradicts what the Evil franchise has always been. So that's what annoyed me about it. And I'm not saying a remake has to be exactly like its original, but just like, if you wanted to make a movie like this, then just name it something else. Make another demon possession movie outside of a little cabin. Like, just don't call it an Evil Dead remake if you want to make it so different. And if you want to just like contradict what the franchise has always been, you know? And I didn't go into this movie wanting to be a hater. I expected to love it. I wanted to love it. For the first half of the movie, I was like, yeah, the horror genre is awesome because the gore was great. But it just got worse as it progressed. And if you haven't seen the movie, this is a spoiler. I don't know why you would watch this if you haven't seen the movie. But what was the main character's name? Why did Mia just turn back into a human? Like, the ritual just worked successfully? Like, I admittedly don't know a lot about demon possession. I mean, especially in real life, I don't like research into that kind of stuff. But when a demon possesses a body, it possesses the soul, right? It doesn't create like a coat of armor around the body. So if you shoot that body while the demon is possessing its being, you're still shooting the body, right? Because she was massacred, and then she just like stepped back up from the grave just completely fine, unscathed. Nothing was wrong. Why did she come back to life? When she stood up and called her brother's name, I was waiting for the scene where she would turn back into the demon and attack him. But it never happened. Why did they change that? That doesn't make any sense. That was so annoying and anticlimactic. Like, not even the blood rain could save this movie for me. I thought that was awesome. The you know, blood falling from the sky, that's really cool. It didn't even save it for me. It wasn't enough. And Bruce Campbell being in the end credits wasn't enough either. Just a 2-second clip of him saying groovy couldn't save the movie, I'm sorry. I wasn't even gonna watch this movie until I found out there's a new Evil Dead movie coming out. And I always feel like I have to watch all the movies in a franchise, even if they're not connected. And I pray that the new Evil Dead movie is better than this one. I'm so glad it's not set in that cabin, and it's a different thing. I hope it's better. I really do. So I'm editing the video right now, and I realized that I forgot to mention something that I think is important when talking about why this movie isn't very good. In the original 80s The Evil Dead, there's a scene where a female character gets kind of raped by a tree. And you'd think when remaking a movie, you'd take out a scene like that. You just cut it out completely because it wasn't necessary and it's really weird. And every Evil Dead fan ever admits that. But no, they chose to keep it in. Of all things, they chose to be faithful to that. So I think that's worth mentioning because it's really weird and that definitely should not have been included. If I met someone that liked this movie, I wouldn't like get upset with them or anything. If you liked this movie and it worked for you and the blood and gore was enough, then I'm happy for you. I wish I could enjoy it as much as other people do. I wish I could have had a good time. But it just wasn't for me. It just was not for me. It didn't work. That'll be all. Thank you.